Many ask what is the role of China in the great crisis we are experiencing. It is a great mystery to many, and I must admit that understanding has opened up recently. It is as if China has been hidden for centuries, waiting for its moment of glory. Impossible to get answers until the right question opened the way. What I am going to share now is an absolutely unique content. I ask you not to react with passion, but to leave your senses at peace, and listen only with your heart. In the struggle we see between Russia and the Western countries, it is imperative to see how USA has gradually opened itself to be absorbed by a very ancient culture that is China and the surrounding Asian countries. Look at how Russia and Europe are situated between China and America. America was supposed to carry a specific consciousness, but also had the mission, with Europe, to understand, share and manifest their spiritual identity. For occult reasons, the forces of the West focused on colonial and economic expansion only, made religion a lucrative show, and sometimes suppressed it in anti-religious laws. As many prophecies have predicted, if America joins China, it is a catastrophe for humanity, especially in the present state of human spiritual maturity. Europe and Russia are in the way of an almost uncontrollable attraction between the two spirits of China and the USA. Look at how the Chinese were able to develop on the American continent and prosper generation after generation. Look at how the Asian culture has developed in North America and European countries, with the culture of yoga and different philosophies from India, China, and Japan. Why such fascination? They have failed in their mission to cultivate the spirit that is theirs, and to share their understanding of the soul. Through lack of courage, interest, and other occult factors, China is becoming the model for the New World Order. Russia had fallen into the darkness of communism after the First World War. China followed it with strength and determination. It is still guarded by the spiritual prison of communism. Russia, with the protection of Archangel Michael, was able to free itself from demonic forces in order to reappropriate its spiritual identity through the Orthodox Church, which was able to preserve, through the faith of very many faithful, the sincere link with Christ. You understand now that the Chinese model has developed because of the absence of spirituality in Europe, and the total failure to share with the Asian countries the spirit of Christ that is supposed to live in our European culture. Some missionaries have tried in vain, while others have brought corruption on a grand scale. What we see today is the result of centuries of neglect, spiritual laziness, and the hyper-materialism of the world. Who is between China and America? Europe and Russia. Europe has long since lost its spiritual identity, and has put itself at the service of the harmonic temptation that comes from the America. The COVID crisis has allowed China to demonstrate its model of population control. This control is what the promoters of the New World Order dream of. What you see, this magnetic attraction to China, is the greatest temptation and the greatest danger for humanity. A total dehumanization of individuals, and the absence of spiritual morality. Obedient, sometimes atheistic and servile, Europe follows the will of the USA. Russia, and some Slavic countries, are the exception. They are today the only rampart, thanks to a very strong spiritual and religious identity, with Orthodox, Muslim, shamanic and hundreds of ancestral practices that this immense country and republics are exploring. Russia is the country to be eliminated. For centuries, this power had to be wiped out. The forces of darkness almost succeeded in the 20th century. Russia's awakening today is not about taking territory, or about geopolitical considerations. The survival of humanity depends on it. We are witnessing the mistakes of the past and the arrogance of the West. The Slavic people have experienced a great global sacrifice, humiliated, degraded, massacred by the millions. The stubbornness of the Slavic soul to survive, to resist, to adapt to the greatest suffering, is the image for those who wish to understand the immense conflict we are experiencing. China should not unite with the West. Not now. China must first be inspired by moral and spiritual values, so that it can allow itself to open up a new era. America was supposed to carry the flame of current civilization, and represent a model of humanity, for the next 1,000 years. What will tomorrow bring? Finally, let's take a look at the USA. Which president was against to any alliance with China? Maybe he had advisors around him, who were aware of occult knowledge. Now, Russia has made an alliance with China. Perhaps this is what will allow the transfer of spiritual and religious philosophy. It helps the Chinese soul to cut the ties with the degraded forces of Atlantis, and appropriate the sense of a humanity based on the heart, the soul and the love of freedom. Only time will tell.